Good evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Ishan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling you in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. 2 Indians among 62 passengers killed on board a Boeing 737-800 jet operated by Flight Dubai. High winds and poor visibility believed to have caused the crash. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Harish Rawat accuses BJP of misrepresenting facts. He claims that he still enjoys a majority in the assembly. The BJP says it will stake claim to form government. BJP President Amit Shah inaugurates the party's National Executive meet. They meet to discuss strategy for the assembly elections in the 5 states. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates 3-day Krishi Unnati Mela, lists out his government's initiatives to double farmer incomes by 2022. And Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari decries falling standards of ethics in media, says editors must uphold journalistic ethos by ensuring impartiality, accuracy and fairness. The top story this evening, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Harish Rawat today accused the BJP of misrepresenting facts, stating that he still enjoyed a majority in the Uttarakhand Assembly. He said he was ready to prove it on the floor of the House. On the other hand, the BJP claimed that it had the support of 35 MLAs, including 9 rebel Congress MLAs, stating that the party should be invited to form the government.
Amid an impending collapse of his government, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Harish Rawat on Saturday claimed he was ready to prove his majority on the floor of the Assembly. On the BJP's claims that it was backed by 35 MLAs, including 9 rebel Congress MLAs, Rawat said at least 5 of those MLAs were still in touch with him.
विरोधियों में से अभी तक 4-5 लोगों ने हमसे 5 लोगों ने हमसे संपर्क किया है और हमने एक बात स्पष्ट तौर पर कह दी है कि मैं भाजपा से कहना चाहता हूं कि हम सदन में अपना बहुमत सिद्ध करने के लिए तैयार हैं.
On the other hand, the BJP claimed it should be invited to form the government as the incumbent Congress dispensation was now a minority.
फिलहाल ये सरकार अल्पमत में आ गई है और ये सरकार को अब सत्ता में बने रहने का वैसे भी कोई नैतिक अधिकार नहीं है.
Party leaders say that 9 rebel Congress MLAs have arrived in Delhi and are in touch with BJP leaders. A 3-member BJP delegation of former Chief Minister and MP Bhagat Singh Koshyari, Jaju and General Secretary Kailash Vijayvargiya met Governor K.K. Paul on Friday night after a day of fast-paced developments in the hill state.
अरे भैया ऐसा है कि राक्षस राज का अंत हो गया है, जनता इसने मुक्ति पा ली है. हम गवर्नर से कहने जा रहे हैं कि सरकार को तुरंत बर्खास्त करो, इसे तुरंत बर्खास्त होना चाहिए.
Amid chaos in the assembly, 9 Congress rebels joined BJP in demanding a division of votes on the state's annual budget, which could have led to the government's fall.
मेरा उत्तराखंड की राजनीति से ना ही पार्टी ने मुझे ऐसा कोई इशारा किया है कि मुझे कहीं भी उस उत्तराखंड के विषय में कोई दखलंदाजी करनी है.
Congress MLA from Rudraprayag, Harak Singh Rawat, claimed the finance bill had fallen, clearly indicating that the ruling party has been reduced to a minority with 35 votes against the budget and 32 in its favor.
सरकार बिल्कुल सेफ है. जब विनियोग विधेयक पास हो गया, आप देख रहे हैं कि क्रमवार सारे विधेयक पास हुए. हरक सिंह जी ने भी 3 विधेयक हाउस में रखे और वो तीनों विधेयक पास हुए.
The rebel MLAs included, Congress has 36 MLAs in the 70-member assembly. The ruling party also has the support of 6 members of the Progressive Democratic Front. The BJP has 28 MLAs. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Prime Minister Narendra Modi today inaugurated the 3-day Krishi Unnati Mela in New Delhi. Listing out his government's initiatives, he said the government was committed to achieving its goal of doubling farmers' incomes by 2022. With back-to-back droughts hitting agricultural output, Prime Minister Modi called for steps to conserve water and urged farmers to focus on crop diversification and allied activities like dairy, poultry and food processing. He said the eastern states are capable of a second green revolution by adopting modern technologies as the states have adequate water and fertile land. The 3-day fair will provide information on new farm schemes and technologies and is being telecast live at the block panchayat level for maximum reach to the farmers.
अगर भारत को आर्थिक संपन्न बनना है आने वाले 25-30 साल तक लगातार आगे बढ़ना है, रुकना ही नहीं है, तो वो जगह सिर्फ गांव है, गरीब है, किसान है, वहीं से होने वाला।
Now, the BJP National Executive and office bearers are meeting in the national capital. In the two-day meet, the party leaders are expected to discuss the current political situation in the country and take stock of organizational issues, besides fine-tuning the party's strategy for the upcoming assembly elections in 5 states. Party President Amit Shah inaugurated the meeting. At the end of the two-day meeting, 2 resolutions, one political and one related to the general budget, will be adopted. Prime Minister Modi will address the concluding session tomorrow. This is the first national executive after Shah took over as president of the party for the second term. The national executive is on in the national capital of the BJP. On your screens, you can see BJP Margdarshak Mandal's head L.K. Advani being felicitated. Also, Amit Shah, party president of the BJP, inaugurating the two-day event. Bharat Mata Ki! Bharat Mata Ki! And let's go across to our correspondent Shyam Sundar, who's been tracking this meet. Shyam, this is the first time the BJP National Executive is meeting under the second term of BJP President Amit Shah, and it comes just ahead of the elections in the 5 states. And what's the BJP talking over there about?
Well, as you mentioned that there are 5 state assembly elections coming up, and the process is already on. So it will be very, very important for this BJP meet to discuss the strategy and especially to back the plan made by Party President Amit Shah and, of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And especially for Assam, it is very, very important for BJP to chalk out a plan. And at this meeting, BJP President Mr. Amit Shah would try to boost the morale of BJP leadership, and he would try to convince the BJP leadership that they should not make any mistake as party made in Delhi or Bihar. So this meet is very, very important as far as state assembly elections are concerned for BJP.
All right, Shyam, also there's another crisis that's been brewing in Uttarakhand where the BJP is saying that it could stake claim to form the government. Is that also on the discussion table there?
Well, not officially, but of course, we have seen that senior leaders of BJP were present in Dehradun last night. Mr. Shyam Jaju, who is in charge from center, he was there, and senior leaders are involved, and the in charge is keeping higher leadership in loop on the Uttarakhand issue. And of course, after Arunachal Pradesh, what has happened in Uttarakhand, BJP is keeping a close watch, or we should say that BJP is quite active because they met the governor last night, and they are ready to parade their MLAs in Delhi also. So of course, not openly in it will not be on the official agenda, but of course the situation will be discussed in the meeting.
All right, Shyam, one final question as far as the official agenda of the meeting. So there'll be two resolutions, one a political one and one related to the budget, probably outlining the BJP's larger agenda vis-a-vis the government.
Definitely, and because first part of the budget session is just over in Parliament, and this is the time BJP is meeting after Amit Shah became the president, and of course party would like to back Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, and that is the biggest challenge for the BJP government at the center, because the promise made by Mr. Narendra Modi during the elections, the BJP has to fulfill those election promises, and for that budget would be a very, very important function for the BJP government at the center. And of course BJP would try to back Finance Minister and Mr. Prime Minister Narendra Modi fully to take steps, whatever is needed and government feels that it needs to take steps on the financial front.
Sham, we leave it over there. Sham, of course, will keep a track of that meeting for us. Moving on now, Vice President Mohammad Hafid Ansari today lamented the deteriorating ethical standards in the media, stating that examples of high professional standards these days are few and far between. Delivering the inaugural address at the seminar on the role of editors in today's media, organized by Rajya Sabha television in New Delhi, the Vice President said the editor holds the key to forming public perception and, by extension, public opinion, and thereby sets the agenda for the national debate. He further said that to uphold the journalistic ethos and values, an editor must ensure that the content is accurate and relevant, be impartial and independent, and be fair and respectful.
There was a time not long ago when newspaper editors were intellectual stalwarts who acted as the brain trust of the country. The editor was the personality of the newspaper, setting its tone and tenor, as well as determining its philosophical and political line. A political editor recently confided that credibility, which often takes years to build, is being treated as a commodity by media houses, and that part of it is being bartered for immediate economic gains. Such an observation, serious in itself, dents the requisite professional standard of journalism and impinges on an essential prerequisite of a free press in a free society.
The former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah on Saturday questioned the secrecy around the government formation efforts between the PDP and the BJP. Addressing the media at an annual convocation ceremony at a college in Ludhiana, he spoke at length on the ongoing debate on nationalism. He said while he had no objections with the slogan of Bharat Mata Ki Jai, he doesn't need to prove his nationalist sentiments by chanting it. Omar also launched a scathing attack against the BJP, stating that the situation has become like the 80s when it had gone about dismantling state governments.
ना मैंने आपसे कहा ना मैं आपको सर्टिफिकेट नहीं दूंगा, मैं नहीं दूंगा जनाब, नहीं कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, लेकिन मैं आपकी खुशी के लिए कोई सर्टिफिकेट मुझे आपसे ना चाहिए ना मैं आपको देने के लिए तैयार हूं। मुझे इस मुल्क के बारे में मेरी क्या सोच है, मेरे क्या ख्यालात हैं, मुझे मोहब्बत है या नहीं है, वो मैं जानता हूं। मुझे उसको साबित करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है और आपकी खुशी के लिए या किसी और की खुशी के लिए वो मैं साबित करने के लिए तैयार नहीं हूं। मुफ्ती मोहम्मद सैयद साहब के गुजरने के बाद आम तौर पे ये सोचा जा रहा था कि नए लीडर के तौर पे पीडीपी के सदर को जो है इलेक्ट किया जाएगा और बीजेपी की तरफ से उन्हें सपोर्ट जो है वो ऑटोमेटिकली जो है वो पेश किया जाएगा, लेकिन बात वहाँ तक पहुँची नहीं। इतना हमें ज़रूर मालूम है कि पीडीपी की तरफ से आज ये कहा जा रहा है कि कोई नई शर्त नहीं, हमें सिर्फ एजेंडा फॉर अलायंस पे जो है हमें एक अश्योरेंस चाहिए था। जहाँ तक मेरी नाखुश सोच ये है, ये एजेंडा फॉर अलायंस ये 6 साल के लिए तय किया गया था। अब अगर 6 साल के लिए एजेंडा था तो 6 साल के बाद आप देख लीजिए आपने इसमें क्या हासिल किया, क्या नहीं किया।
Time for us to take a short break. Lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
But these non-tuberculous bacteria, they cannot cause disease. T cells plays a cardinal role in protection against tuberculosis. Since leprosy and tuberculosis, they are like cousins. Leprosy is a disease which is not communicable unless until you touch a scar.
Watch Eureka with Dr. J.N. Agrawala, Chief Scientist, CSIR IMT, Chandigarh, only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Hello, I am Ishan Russell.
I'm Tracy Shilchi and you're watching News Tonight.
together with the team of our
dedicated professionals from across various fields.
This is Shyam Sundar, Vishal Dahiya, Akhilesh Suman,
Frank Pereira from Beijing, China.
Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
We bring to you
the news that matters here on Rajya Sabha TV. Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Some international news now. And a Fly Dubai passenger jet crashed in the Russian city of Rostov-on-Don, killing all 55 passengers and 7 crew on board. Officials believe that bad weather, which kept the plane from re-attempting landing for more than 2 hours, likely caused the crash. 2 Indians were among those killed.
Deep sadness that our flight from Dubai to Rostov in Russia has crashed on landing. At this moment, our thoughts and prayers with those on board and their loved one and family.
All 62 passengers on board died on Saturday when the Boeing 737-800 jet operated by Fly Dubai crashed before landing at Rostov-on-Don in southern Russia. The Boeing was in air for 6 hours after taking off from Dubai. Thereafter, it tried to land, circling the airport for close to 2 hours. But the aircraft had to abandon the attempt, possibly due to high winds and poor visibility. It made a second fatal attempt at landing, crashing 250 meters short of the runway, bursting into a huge fireball. Emergency services made their way to the scene, but all on board were killed. Most of them were Russians. 2 Indians were also among those killed.
Причин катастроф никак не изменилась. Это прежде всего плохие погодные условия. Количество погибших также осталось прежним. 55 пассажиров и 7 членов экипажа.
Russia has launched an investigation, although bad weather is believed to be the most likely cause. Both planes' flight data recorders and one of the 2 voice recorders have been recovered. The UAE Civil Aviation Authority is sending its investigators to Moscow to help in the investigation. They would be joined by teams from Boeing and the US-based National Transportation and Safety Board. Meanwhile, relatives of those killed mourned their loved ones at the airport. Russian President Vladimir Putin also expressed his deepest condolences. Sunday has been declared a day of mourning in the Rostov region.
3 часа 50 минут. При вторичном заходе на посадку в аэропорт города Ростов-на-Дону потерпел крушение самолет Boeing 737-800 авиакомпании Fly Dubai, следовавший по маршруту.
Rostov-on-Don airport will be closed until Sunday. Until then, flights were redirected to the city of Krasnodar, 141 miles south of the airport. The last major aviation disaster involving Russia was on 31st of October last year, when a Russian airliner blew up in the air over Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, killing all 224 aboard. Investigators determined it was destroyed by a bomb on board. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
A Paris attack suspect, Salah Abdeslam, has been arrested by Belgian officials. 4 others have also been taken into custody along with him. French President Francois Hollande said he expected Abdeslam to be extradited to France at the earliest. Meanwhile, US President Barack Obama called Belgian and French leaders and congratulated them.
Salah Abdeslam, the most wanted fugitive in the Paris terrorist attack, was arrested following a dramatic raid by Belgian police forces. Abdeslam was captured after a shootout in Brussels. He was on the run for nearly 4 months. Belgian officials said he is being held in a hospital with a slight leg injury. Munir Ahmed Alaj, another suspect on the wanted list, was also arrested along with him. 3 members of a family accused of sheltering Abdeslam were also detained.
Mesdames et messieurs, je vous remercie pour votre présence ce soir. Il me revient de vous annoncer que nous avons arrêté Salah Abdeslam dans le cadre de perquisitions qui sont liées aux enquêtes en lien avec les attentats de Paris du 13 novembre.
European leaders lauded the arrest. French President François Hollande expressed hopes that Abdeslam will be extradited to France as soon as possible. He also said Abdeslam might have links with Syria and IS.
Et nous nous apercevons, sans rentrer dans le détail de l'enquête, qu'ils sont beaucoup plus nombreux que ce que nous avions pu un moment penser et identifier. Et ce que je peux dire, c'est que partout, en Belgique comme en France, le niveau de la menace est très élevé.
The 26-year-old Abdeslam was born in Brussels. He lived in Molenbeek before the Paris attacks. Now the security officials will grill Abdeslam on Islamic State's plans and structures, his contacts in Europe and Syria, and support networks and finance. 130 people were killed in a series of coordinated terrorist attacks in Paris in November. Saleh Abdeslam is the only living suspect. Since all other identified attackers were killed, Abdeslam will be the key to understand what happened on November 13, 2015. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more international news now on Global Buzz. 5 people were killed and 20 injured in a suicide bomb attack in Turkey's capital, Istanbul, today. The suicide bomber was among the 5 people killed in the attack. The bombing took place on Istanbul's main pedestrian shopping road. The attack comes nearly a week after a suicide car bombing in capital Ankara killed 37 people on the 13th of March. The United Nations Security Council on Friday strongly condemned and expressed grave concern over North Korea's recent ballistic missile launches. UN said the action was unacceptable and clearly violated UN resolutions. North Korea launched 2 ballistic missiles off the west coast of the Korean peninsula. South Korean military and US defense officials said this. The European Union and Turkey reached a deal on the migrant crisis that will see refugees return to Turkey in exchange for aid and political concessions. From Sunday midnight, migrants arriving in Greece will be sent back to Turkey if their asylum claim is rejected. EU leaders have welcomed the agreement, but German Chancellor Angela Merkel warned of legal challenges to come. Some sports now, and arch rivals India and Pakistan will draw swords against each other at the Eden Gardens later in the evening in the ICC World T20 tournament. India convincingly beat Pakistan in the Asia Cup encounter a fortnight ago, and Pakistan will be keen to extract sweet revenge against Dhoni's men. The stage is set for a keen contest between the two teams.
Setting a high-octane momentum once again, one of the most famous rivalries in cricket are all set to meet at Eden Gardens. Whenever India and Pakistan battle it out against each other, it's always bigger, better and much more than just what's on display. Going by the figures, Team India might be strong on all counts, but despite gaining the tournament's favourite tag, they will be under tremendous pressure, having suffered a humiliating defeat in their first match against New Zealand. Dhoni has got every bullet in his armoury, be it batting or bowling.
It's probably bigger than Ashes is. So as far as Indians go and the Pakistanis go, they play. I don't think they watch this game as a game of cricket. It's more of a border rivalry. They want to get one up on each other, so there is much more to the particular game in itself rather than the game itself taking center stage. So as far as people are concerned, they put the emotions into the game. It's for the players, it's trying keeping the emotions aside and trying and playing the game the best way we can.
While Pakistan would want to break the jinx of not being able to defeat India in World Cup so far. Unlike India, Pakistan began its Super 10s campaign on a positive note, beating Bangladesh by 55 runs. Pakistan has a decent lineup, one that India needs to be wary of.
We've got a pace attack who can change game with one spell or one good over. So I think we're going to take this as a positive sign. Pitch is really good, I must say that. But yeah, we got a good bowling attack. We need runs on the board, I guess.
What lands in Pakistan's favour is that they have never lost a limited overs international match against India in Kolkata. They have played 4 one-day internationals against India and have won all of them at the Eden Gardens. However, it will be interesting to see if Pakistan can break the World Cup jinx against India. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more sports action now on Sports Beat. Indian shuttlers Saina Nehwal and HS Pranoy have reached the semi-finals of the Swiss Open badminton tournament in Basel. Two-time champion Saina outplayed Japan's Sayaka Sato 13-21, 21-15, 21-14 in a contest that lasted 52 minutes. She will next take on Wang Yihan in the semi-finals. In the men's singles, 13-seed Pranoy took almost an hour to get across to the next stage. He will next face Zhu Wei Wang of Chinese Taipei. India star wrestler Yogeshwar Dutt secured an Olympic quota after making the final round of the men's 65kg freestyle event on the second day of the Asian Olympic qualification tournament. Yogeshwar became the second Indian wrestler after Narsingh Yadav to book a berth for the Rio Games to be held later this year. Serena Williams will face Victoria Azarenka in the final of the BNP Paribas Open at Indian Wells. Top seeds Williams overcame a slow start to beat Radwanska 6-4, 7-6 to reach the final for the first time since 2001. Rafael Nadal defeated a top 10 player for the first time this year as he saw off Japan's Kei Nishikori 6-4, 6-3 to reach the BNP Paribas Open semi-finals at Indian Wells. The Spaniard will now face world number 1 Novak Djokovic next. Djokovic beat 7th seed Jo Wilfried Tsonga 7-6, 7-6 in straight sets. Lewis Hamilton took pole position for the season-opening Australian Grand Prix, even as the new elimination qualifying format came in for heavy criticism. Hamilton celebrated his 50th pole after posting a lap time of 1 minute 25.351 seconds, with second-place teammate Nico Rosberg nowhere near his time. Ferrari's Sebastian Vettel secured third spot, while Kimi Raikkonen stood fourth on the grid. Well, that's all from us. Goodbye.